Welcome, everybody, to another edition, another episode of the Southern Wrestling Hot Topics and News podcast, the podcast that goes with the magazine. Be sure you get your copy now on the Amazon Kindle store. And, hey, we're trying, we're working hard, we're getting those physical copies made as we speak. Back issues will also be available for all you folks that are in the magazine. Of course, I'm your host, as always, Cowboy Cliff Rogers. Coming to you live, well, not live, but, one day we'll be live. The Battle Zone heavyweight champion over there in Mendenhall, Mississippi. And speaking of championship gold, my guest this time is somebody that is very familiar with championship gold. Everybody, 6.5-year pro wrestling veteran based out of the great state of Texas. Everybody, please welcome the final boss, Exodus Prime, joining us on the tape. Exodus, man, you are a busy man. You run the roads all over Texas. When you're not doing that, you got obligations at the house. I mean, you're hard to get a hold of, man. Thank you for finally joining us.
Appreciate you for having me, man. Yeah, I'm sorry about the runaround, man, but between wrestling, work and training and children, man, it kind of gets away from me sometimes.
Yeah, I love how you really just described, in a nutshell, the life of an indie wrestler. Just with those words right there, in a nutshell, that's what most of us have to work with there. So, yeah, it can be tough, man. But man, 6.5 years so far you've been in the game. I've heard a lot about you. I've seen you all over the socials and on YouTube and stuff as well. I've been in 3 years, so in that time, you've got a pretty heavy name in Texas. But I've never actually gotten to share a locker room or meet you yet. So this is going to be fun for me. I'm getting to learn about the final boss with the rest of you guys watching. So why don't we kind of start from the beginning there, man? How'd you get in the business?
I started training out here in Arlington, Texas at DFW All Pro Wrestling. You may have heard of a few people that come from there, like Alejandro Lyon, Maya World, Nate Collins, Kyrie Wright, Killer Kate. People like that has come out of DFW All Pro. So that's why I started training there, man. And it was even harder to even start training, bro, because I was going to start around 2011, but life and other obligations got in the way, and so over the years I would look for schools, and I would never find one close enough until finally DFW All Pro moved into my neighborhood, so I decided to give it a try.
Man, that right there can be the hardest part for anybody wanting to get involved. Is man, am I good enough to give it a try? Am I good enough to give this a roll? And how old were you when you finally got into DFW?
I was 26.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. So see, that's a little bit older than me. I was 26 when I got started. And
Okay.
I was kind of, I was with you. I was like, I don't know, man, this is kind of a fresh out of high school guy's game. I don't know. I mean, but,
Yeah.
that's that leap of faith right there that you make. Well, hey, man, it looks like you made the leap well, because you have gone on to capture all kinds of titles for all kinds of different promotions out there. Tell us, how was it at DFW All Pro? I mean, I've heard mixed things. They're all good, but was it a pretty grueling process? I mean, I know Lou Gotti doesn't play around.
No, it was grueling in the best way. I mean, it really taught us for one to respect, pro wrestling and the art form of it, and also to respect the business itself. And then the curriculum is just so, it's just so, to me, top notch. It just taught me, I feel like, everything that I should know before actually having my first actual match. I feel like, and this is no offense to anyone that's in schools or training. I just feel like the training that we received there when we started, we was probably like, I feel like, a couple years ahead of other people who were just not having their first matches, because just simply because of the curriculum, the quality of training, and it's just no matter how good you are, even like, yeah, you can come in, you can perform well, you still have to follow the timeline and a curriculum before you're able to have your first match. Is one of the things, and that's one of the things I feel like is very valued there, which is why a lot of the wrestlers that come out of it, I feel like, were pretty good starting out, simply because it doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to have to take the same timeline as everyone else. Now, um, I'm not saying that like if you're good that you won't possibly progress a little bit faster than others. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just that if it takes you 9 months, if it's the minimum is 9 months to have your first match, doesn't matter how good you are, it's gonna take the minimum of 9 months to have your first match. So in a nutshell, so
Yeah, that was kind of like how we did things over here in Louisiana. People know I was trained at UWE, Pro Wrestling
mm-hmm.
Academy of Louisiana by Dapper Dan, and ours was for me. It was for all of us really. It was kind of a huge learning curve for everyone involved because we were the first batch of guys. It was an
Yeah.
experimental thing. As there's Wildcat Pro in Louisiana. There's BIW, but outside of that, we were the new kids on the block in that part of the state, and but again, Dap, a lot like Lou Gotti, he made sure we knew all the business. He was like, "I'm not here to just teach you how to do an arm drag, hip toss, body slam. Like, I don't want you guys to leave here and then go outside and then." Be caught with your pants around your ankles and get embarrassed
Mm-hmm.
somewhere because that looks bad on everybody involved. So,
Yeah.
of course, our timeline was 4 months because he kind of had figured out a way to streamline training. He was like, he says, we'll learn all the fine nuts and bolts later, but I want to get you guys good enough to where after 4 months, we'll just give you some random not really a jobber, but just like a real generic name and some black tights, and then just get used to being in front of people. Get used to being
Yeah.
in front of those crowds. And then after your first match in front of some actual people, then we start fleshing out gimmicks. We start coming up with promo ideas. And man, we've had some guys too, really sore out there. I've managed to get some steady work in other states, but my good friend Ricka Wildley has gone all over the country. We got X Storms and Punk Sinister who've gone all over the place. So really cool. That to where we used to see DFW All Pro and be like, man, those guys, they're living. I mean that's the big leagues there. And then when I actually talked to some students like yourself, I'm thinking like, okay, I can kind of see that it was pretty much same concept, just kind of taught in a different way, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes, sir.
that's a cool thing I had heard from Chris Jericho before. Is he saying, everybody has this weird thought in their head that you have to get trained by a WWE Hall of Famer, but you don't. I mean, as long as the knowledge is there, the sky is the limit there. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, that's you know, it's one of those. It's also one of those things to where it can be hard to get to those bigger stages like DFW All Pro. I remember when we were about a year in, we're like, man, why aren't these guys messaging us back? Why aren't we getting booked? And then you start learning the business more, and you're like, well, they've got their own farm going over here. Why would you want to taint
Mm-hmm.
the farm and take a chance on somebody when you've got your own system of doing things? So it's
Yeah.
indie wrestling isn't the Wild West, folks. Okay, there's a system to it. All right, you got to respect the system. So.
Yeah.
Well, so you
And
debuted after.
and on top,
Go ahead.
okay. But I'll say on top of that, it's just one of those things to where yeah, every especially when you're dealing with a promotion outside of the school, right? Um, that promotions or that school's first priority is to give their students an opportunity, right? Um, and then then secondly, yes, it's also to give outside people opportunities. But I think the way that some view it is that those outside opportunities have to help teach the students something. That makes sense or whatever. So I think that's where it comes along. Like 'cause I would get a lot of messages from people like, man, like they don't like me or I'm not good. I'm like, no, it's not really that. It's just more though like just either not now or maybe just oversaturated at this point, right? And there's been a lot of people who will reach out, maybe in January, but we'll get opportunity in September. You know what I'm saying? But that's the beauty about indie wrestling now, especially in Texas for the most part, is that almost everywhere you look, there's promotion. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
so
Well, it's Texas is a hotbed, always has been, because there's no commission over there. So,
yeah,
you can just grab your gear and go. Louisiana, we had it. It's gotten a lot easier to deal with, and they're really helping us out as far as helping us grow now. But I remember, man, when I started, you had to have like $2,500 on the table before you could even start selling tickets. You know,
it's crazy.
you had to have an ambulance, you had to have a doctor, you had to send a deposit to the state, and I mean we're not even talking venue cost yet.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
we'd have people all the time. We just had Dap had to tell them like, no offense, but man, I'm doing good to get my guys in a building. I don't know how I'm gonna pay
Hmm.
you, yet. But that being said, UWE has actually featured two DFW All Pro graduates before. Morgan Mercy had come in before.
Morgan Morrison, she wasn't. She's MPX.
Okay, all right, yeah, yeah, okay.
Mm.
Gets a little cluttered over there. She's done some DFW work, right?
Yeah, she's worked for us. She's worked at DFW a few times. But no, she graduated from MPX on Metroplex Wrestling.
But then
They're like 20 minutes from each other.
yeah, okay, yeah, all right. See, there's the confusion there.
Hmm.
But Demo Diamond, I know, is a
He's a
DFW guy.
DFW graduate. Yeah.
We kind of like what you're talking about. You never know when the opportunity is gonna come around. We were doing a show in it was either Fifth Ward or Columbia, Louisiana. I want to say Columbia, maybe. Um, and he just rode with Morgan because we booked her because we
Hmm.
didn't have any female students, and the people really wanted to see some chicks. They wanted to see women's wrestling, and
Yeah.
so we booked Morgan Mercy from MPX, and then Amanda Fuentes, the Amazon out of Florida, and oh man, great match, barn burner of a match, and Demo was like, "Hey Morgan, let me ride." And he just shows up with his gear. I mean, you never know. and
Yep.
and he came prepared. I mean, he had blood work and all already, so they gave him a license right there. And we just took one look at him and was like, "Who trained you?" And he was like, "Lou Gotti, DFW All Pro." And we're like, "Oh, hey, boss, that's a good school. Yeah, use him." And he got a dark
Yeah.
match. He got a dark match, and we actually did. I mean, we call it a dark. It was a pre-show, and we put the tape on YouTube. So pre-show, not a dark, but pre-show. And man,
Hmm.
he like what you're saying. Those outside opportunities also have to lend something to your homegrown talent, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what he did. We put him with a guy that Jack Strong, who was very new still. I think this was maybe like his second or third pro match, and nervous like we all are sometime. And Demo come back there and was like, "Hey man, I got you. I got you. I got the perfect thing." And they walked through it a few times, and he made him look like $1 million. And I was
Yeah.
like, that is what you do right there. You bring in your outside guys, we give him the opportunity. Now he can say he's worked in Louisiana, and he made our homegrown guy look amazing. So, that's
Yeah.
how the synergy works right there in the Indies.
Yep. It's the most important thing as y'all try to tell people, starting off, that's some of the best advice you can give them. It's just about making each other look good, right? I make you look good, you make me look good. We all benefit. The promotion looks good, the product looks good, wrestling looks good. Everybody benefits when we go in there to make each other look good. So I'm glad Demo was able to, apply that and, help out the promotion too.
Oh, yeah. And plus, the guy's huge. So I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to walk out and get a pop, no problem. Look at this dude.
Mhm.
So,
Yep.
man, speaking of getting big, I noticed that you're also in the professional fitness training realm, right?
Hmm.
Well, how'd
Yeah, I'm a
that
personal
start?
trainer. Um, I mean, before I ever started wrestling, I told myself that if I couldn't lose a certain amount of weight, that if I pretty much if I couldn't commit to myself, I could commit to wrestling. Around the time I was about 250, it wasn't muscle, it was just straight, fat. I wasn't really athletic or nothing like that, or physical, nothing like that. And so, in 2016, I ended up losing 50 pounds in like 2 or 3 months, right? And it wasn't the healthiest way because I wasn't into fitness. I just knew that like I had to eat, I had to work out and eat less food. That's all I really did. And so I did it very unhealthily. Like I lost 50 pounds. Um, But then they kind of showed me that, okay, well, I can't commit to myself. And then I started looking into seriously starting wrestling a little bit more. But so shortly after I started wrestling, family started asking me for advice, like fitness advice, and it kind of like motivated me to want to actually get educated in fitness and personal health and nutrition and things like that. And so that's when I did. And then around maybe 2020, 2021, that's when I finally got certified as a personal trainer. Um, and also and also group training too.
Man, that's awesome. That shows you. I have a friend of mine that used to work the territory system back in the '80s and stuff. Named Lolly Dude. He was known as Crybaby Buxton back in the day, and he gave me some. I know, right? Trust me, it's every. He was every bit as goofy as the name sounds. Yeah, but he gave me some pretty solid advice when I got started. He says, don't try to fixate on making wrestling the job you want. Use wrestling to get the job you want. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's what you did. Wrestling was the fire under your belly to get yourself in shape, and that led to a pretty cool little career you got on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, don't get me wrong, wrestling is still the main goal. I make pretty decent money in wrestling. What I'm saying? It's a very good supplemental right now, but the goal is to only have to wrestle, right? To be able to sustain yourself and then use that as a platform to get other things, right? And that's what I've kind of done, since I've started. Like I've kind of used it to like, promote my music or to promote my fitness or any other creative things I like to do. Um, but for me right now, my main goal is still to hopefully either big enough to where I can just live on the indies, and I'm fine with that as long as I'm able to do it and support myself and my family full time, or to get that contract right. And it's really honestly get the contract because if you get the WWE contract or the AEW contract, even the New Japan or Impact contract, you just open up so many other doors to other things that you want to do, whether it's movies, music, um, uh, you know, production, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Um, Creative. It's always a springboard once you get that I worked here or I worked here, attached to you. It instantly brings value. So that's really my goal, honestly. Just like I said, of course, it's always about, being WWE champion, getting that WrestleMania moment or, you know, being the AEW champion or being the TNA champion or the IWGP, whoever champion, it's that's always the goal to be the best. But we got to think about life outside of wrestling, and a lot of times when we're younger, especially when we first start off, it's just like wrestling, 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 to where we don't kind of look at the business side of it.
That's it. It can be hard to get those goals set as a young rookie wrestler, not necessarily young in years, but young in years in the business. Because, I mean, I'm
Hmm.
I'm sure Lou Gotti drilled this into you guys just like Dapper Dan drilled it into us. He was like, y'all don't need to be worrying about. I mean, of course, this was like when we just got a couple matches under our belt. He was like, y'all don't need to be worried about storylines and angles and stuff. Y'all just need to worry about getting those reps. You know,
Yep.
work where you can when you can. But of course, you want to do your research. You don't want to get with a dangerous
Hmm.
promotion or a backyard promotion where you're going to fool around and get hurt. But
Hmm.
get those reps, and then
Yep.
you kind of have to have that look in the mirror after a while where it's like, okay, I'm 3 years in or I'm 4 or 5 years in. I can start getting selective with my reps now because I kind of
Hmm.
I got a little bit of a name. I got a statewide name or I've got a tri-state name, and then you start going to like, all right, now it's time to start talking to the people that can get me a dark match on TV or
Yep.
can get me a tryout in front of Tony Khan or Triple H or whoever. So that being said, I've seen your resume. You've been to the big dance a time or two and done a little bit of work with some of the big leagues, have you?
Yeah. I haven't wrestled a match for WWE, but I have done, a lot of extra talent on segments with them. I take it if I've taken a bump for your company, I've worked for you. You know what I'm saying? And I can put it on my resume. And I bumped for WWE before, so that's why I put them on my resume. But as far as Impact and AEW, AEW have several matches. Most of them were squash matches, but my recent two were actual matches. Especially this year, it was the at the four way with AR Fox, Commander, and Matt Sydal. And then about a couple months ago, about 2 3 months ago, I had a singles match with Willie Mack, and it was cool because when you're there as an extra, you're never expecting match, right? You just expecting to go out there and just do your minute or two of squash and then get your payday, right? Um, but those last two matches, it was like now you're gonna go in there, you're gonna do your stuff, and but no, it was just one of those things where they actually just kind of like just gonna have a match, and like that was exciting because it's extra talent. You just either security spot, or stand in, or maybe just get beat up. So to go in there and be treated as an equal was pretty cool.
Yeah, AEW does a good job of making everybody feel pretty welcome. I haven't gotten a bump for them or anything yet, but I was just trying to get my face out there and meet some people. When I was about a year or so in, they did a show in New Orleans at the UNO Lakefront Arena, and there was some Wildcat guys brought in as extras and stuff, and I knew the guy that owned the third party production company that did all the lights and staging and load in work. So they were like, hey, you're a wrestler. This kind of seems like a place you need to be. And I was like, you're right. So, of course, I brought my gear bag and left it in the back where the crew keeps their stuff. And, of course, I stayed out of the way the best I could. I was there to work. And, that right there was a cool thing. They're getting to build their ring, build their tunnel, build all that. And man, I never sat down because when we would take everybody would get a 5 10 minute smoke break or coffee break. I'd be running around saying, "Hey man, how you doing? What's your role here?" Yeah, yeah, and I got to meet the ring crew and all that, and learn some inside there. They let me run a spotlight for the actual show. So what was pretty neat was it was CM Punk versus Penta El Cerro Miro, and I was watching that match back on YouTube TV when I was heading home the next day, and I could see my spotlight because my light was the one that was following CM Punk out. So I was like, "Yep, that's me. That's me right there."
Yep.
But they let us go share a catering room with the talent. So it wasn't like we're the wrestlers, y'all are the help. It was we were kind of all together, and man, that was as a guy that only been in the business for about a year. That was a pretty awesome experience getting to sit down and have my steak and potatoes and look right next to this table, and there's Butcher and Blade eating, and you look over here, there's Matt Hardy and the Bucks right next to you over here, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, I'm here, I'm in it, So
Yeah.
yeah, I gotta say they had a very, very warm and welcoming environment. You didn't feel
Yeah.
any less than when you're over there. Even the light operating guys, were treated like talent, and that was really neat. I've heard that AEW it kind of runs like a big indie. Is that true?
I don't like to speak on stuff like that because people like to twist words. I would say it's very similar to the WWE, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you have, you know, you have areas you can go to, you have areas you can't go to. Catering is open to everybody. You're able to, explore like the ring if you want to, or the arena or whatever. So like I said, both of them are very similar. In the way that they ran. It's chaos. If I'm being honest, like so, if you want to say all of it's like indies, because all of it's chaos, things that constantly changing or whatever. Like I say, most of my matches that I had at AEW or even even at Impact or even at the segments that you get at WWE, like you'll probably know 5 or 10 minutes beforehand. They'll just come and throw you some shirts or something, or like, hey, go put on your gear. You know what I'm saying? Because it is like that everywhere, from the indie shows up to the big leagues. It is everything's always constantly changing. But I will say that it is pretty cool that that they all treat everybody the same, right? You'll see the superstars talking to like people in catering, or talking to just like the administrative people like they're friends. You know what I'm saying? It's never like we're the wrestlers and you're the. It's never been like that. At least not in my experience.
And that actually takes a lot of stress and anxiety off a lot of people's plate. Knowing that hey, when you, of course, WWE is the holy grail, and then the other ones are
Yep.
also the holy grails as well. Japan, all that, and then uh, once you kind of earn your way over there. Doing something like what you did, or if you get a true contract, it kind of humanizes it a little bit, where you're
Hmm.
like, oh my God, these guys, they're workers just like me, and we're all just trying
Yep.
to, like what you said earlier, we're just trying to make the show great.
Yeah.
So yeah, once you're in the pro wrestling family, you're in there, and that's always been such a rewarding thing for me anyway.
And I think that's one of the coolest things now. Like I said, I can't speak on how it was back in the day because I wasn't in the business. But from at least my experience, like even going to WWE, and you're seeing people that signed that you wrestled or that you share locker rooms with, right? Um, and these people love wrestling just like you do. So, even AEW, right? It's a lot of people that signed to AEW or eventually got signed that I've either wrestled or share locker rooms with, or or have known over the years. And I know they love wrestling, and that's what all these locker rooms are filled with. It's just fans, who grew up watching wrestling, who became wrestlers, and now they're in the business. And I think that's why even the quality of wrestling, of the actual wrestling, that I think a lot of fans understand. That's why the quality of wrestling is what it is. It's more complex. It's more layered. You know what I'm saying? It's more variety in it because you have all these fans who became wrestlers. They're leading the business, and they all have their own art or their own twist or thing that they want to put in wrestling, right? And that's why it's this big, melting pot of styles and moves, or way we present stories or whatever. It's always different. It's no one size fit all. Oh, it's never been like that, but even more so today, it's not one size fit all. One wrestling show can have a thing that everybody enjoys. You know what I mean? So
And that's true. There's some people that love the fast pace, the more the AEW. Um, you know, uh, this isn't my words here, but the super indie style, the very fast paced. Bam, 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 false finish, bam, 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 arm drag, destroyer, boom. Some people love that high speed wrestling. And then I've noticed that in a lot of the indies out there, and in WWE in some matches, they're getting back to some of that old school walk and talk, like 1979 AWA, where a drop toe hold into an ankle lock is a big spot, or
yeah.
just working the headlock or working the arm wringer for 5 straight minutes. That's the heat. So, like you say, you can plug it in. It just kind of depends on where you're at, and at the end of the day, the fans don't really drive, but they're the ones paying to be there. So
Hmm.
whatever the fans are wanting to see in that area, I've said it in past episodes. I've been lucky enough to work in 4 or 5 different states, and I know in Louisiana they want to see some fast paced stuff because there's not a whole bunch of promotions here, so they're just glad to see
Yeah.
it. So yeah, they want to see what they see on TV because they don't get it very often. But then
Hmm.
in Florida, where there's an indie everywhere and it's WWE country right there, they like seeing that old school FCW style from like the 80s and stuff where work that headlock or work that arm lock for 5 minutes and then finally the heel scrapes the eyes and hits a big lariat and that's a hot spot, So
Hmm.
it varies, different places you go, and I can't speak for the whole state of Florida because, like I say, there's definitely some there's a little death match stuff over there. There's some cruiserweight stuff. I know where y'all are at. I'm sure the further south Texas you go, the more lucha it gets.
No, not really. I think Texas, at least in my experience, I don't really see as many. It may be just because I don't work them as much anymore, but I don't really see a lot of lucha shows everywhere. Even we go south, everything in Texas is like I say, it's just a mixed style, man. Each show will probably have like a mixture of those styles. You have a match that do like the old school style. You have the super indie style. You have a death match right here, and then you have a super technical match where it's just a whole bunch of grappling. You know what I'm saying? So, and then oftentimes those styles are often mixed or whatever. You know what I'm saying? To where, super, you know, someone like Epidemics will wrestle somebody like, ooh man, let's just say household. I don't know if you're in the house yet, but
Oh yeah,
householding, but yeah, but they'll make it work, right? You know what I'm saying? Because um, that's what it's about. It's just about making those styles clash and what kind of story can we tell, like with this super grounded type style, brawler style with this, high flying lucha, style. How do you mix those styles to make it compelling and also make it make sense, right? Um, and that's what I love about working. Really everywhere I work is that usually I never wrestle anybody who works the same. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I've always get to work a different type of person, which helps me put more experience and more styles into my pocket. You know what I'm saying, to apply in another match. You know what I'm saying? So no, I won't say against lucha at all. Like, it's just because lucha's everywhere, right? Like, it's on every show. You know what I'm saying? So, nah, further south you go, it's still the same. Like you
Yeah.
still find that super indie style if that's what they asking for. You still find that super old school style if they asking for. You still find the death matches they asking for. So,
You ever done one of those?
no, I never will.
Yeah.
Well, I gonna say, well, let me say this. I gonna say I never will. I have to have life changing money to,
Right. That's
to
kind of
do
where
to,
I'm
to do
at.
something like that.
I need a four
Yeah, I
digit.
mean, I'm very good friends. I know, like with Dmitry Alexandrov. I love Dimitri, and he always asks me, "Hey, when we gonna have that death match?" I say, "Never, bro. Like, we're never gonna have that match, man. Like, I have to. You like if anything goes wrong in this match, like I'm not even just talking about like an injury, but like if I contract something for whatever reason, because we're still mixing. It doesn't matter how much you're, tested, you're still mixing different blood types. Infections happen, right? You know what I'm saying? So my family has to be taken care of if something like this happens to me. You know what I'm saying? Just for me going out here, you know what I'm saying? It's just wrestling is already risky, right?
Yeah.
Um, but just to have all these cuts on you and this other person all this cuts on you, you don't know whose blood is who, and you're steady grappling with each. It's dangerous, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I have respect for those who do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I appreciate the fact that you do it. That means I don't have to do it, right? You know
That's
what I'm
it.
saying? So,
That's it.
so that's where I am with Deathmatch, man. But I watch it, man. And as a fan, I'm like, hell yeah. But as a wrestler, I'm like, man, y'all crazy.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. I've I've done some weapon matches. I've done cages. I've done a Texas bull rope match. I mean, I don't mind getting edgy.
I do those.
Yeah, but I'm can we keep the light tubes and the stakes? Can we keep that in the back, please? So
Sharp edges. I just don't think sharp edges and wrestling mix, man. Like,
no, no.
but but like I said, I love ladder matches. Like I love street fights. I love those. They're so fun. But when but with death matches, people are expecting a certain type of gore, right? They're expecting blood, they're expecting cuts, they're expecting a horror movie. Like, I'm a wrestler, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I'm
So,
not a back alley street brawler. I'm a pro wrestler.
yeah.
Like, so,
But
uh,
like I said, but more, I respect to him because that mean because I can't do it, man.
yeah,
I'm scared to do it. Like I ain't gonna say. I ain't gonna sit here and stud like, oh, I'm tough. You just about the money. I'm scared to do it, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Anything can go wrong with that. I'm scared to do it. So
I mean, there's
it is what it
there's
is.
been plenty of stories I've heard, in books and stuff. Nick Gage, he literally died for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then they revived him on a mid-flight helicopter because he got cut too deep. I was like,
Yeah.
hey man, look, Nick Gage, I'm tipping my hat to you right now, but you can have that. So,
Yes, sir. That's your lane, and I'm not trying to get in it.
yeah.
So,
Well, look, man.
so it is what it is.
I learned, I've learned pretty quick that we are very lucky and blessed to be working in the business and the time we are because social media has made things so, it's opened so many doors for people that have either just started or people that have been grinding for years. You were talking earlier about meeting the right people and being involved in the big leagues and stuff as far as getting accepted in the locker room. Now, you can do that virtually now by sending a message or applying to an application or a tryout or something online. So what are some strategies and ways that you make your social media life work for you?
Um, for the most part, man, like I just try to treat my social media like I've always treated, pretty much as like a diary. Um, I mean, people can only speculate on social media what's real and what's fake, right? So I just try to, for one, like I try to manage the personal social media, my working social media. It's hard simply because social media makes it like I guess the systems make it hard. Like it's just too much to do, right? Um, and on top of that, I've been also told that we're in a day and age, people know it's kayfabe exists. People know you're playing a character, so people like to see the real person from time to time, right? So my advice for anybody is just it just depends on what you're going for and what you're comfortable with, right? The most important thing is just always have content, right? Um, for me, for the most part, I'm always sharing. If anybody have noticed, it's like I've always keep my profile picture on my cover photos, flyers that I'm on, right? So every time somebody look at my picture, they can wonder like, oh, what's this? You see what I'm saying? I always, share if it's somebody you want to work for, I always share their stuff, right? Share their stuff, like it, engage with it. Um, and then like if you're one of those characters who's supposed to be secretive or menacing, right? Then it probably won't help you to share pictures of your family, right? You know what I'm saying? Or of you just being a regular person at Starbucks, right? Um, but if you're but it's kind of like with MMA, right? With wrestlers, right? We're not back in the 90s and 80s where we're like, these supernatural forces or whatever, or we're just regular people competing in a wrestling league. That's what we are, and we create these characters to sell stories, right? Um, but people know it, right? Like just like Tony Stark. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is not really Tony Stark, right? You know what I'm saying? So, it's just about that's the best I can tell you. It's just about being consistent is the most important thing. Being consistent with content. Always, if you have a match coming up, share those matches. If you have clips, if somebody share a clip of you, repost it. That type of stuff. If you if you're good at getting your matches, you're supposed to be trying to get your matches either like record them yourself or try to get footage of them. I always just take your clips and take the best part of your matches or whatever. post them, and then after you post about 5 or 6 clips, now you have a highlight reel that you can repost, right? And also probably use as a time trail and stuff like this. So, and social media, man, is just I don't. Even the people who have millions of followers will honestly tell you that they don't know the key, right? The only thing that they all tell you is that it's about consistently putting out content. And eventually, as far as social media, for the promoters, it's going to show them that that you're serious and that you're going to promote their event, right? But for the algorithm, and for the people, the consumers, um, it's just about a lot of times just finding that getting that one viral clip, you know what I'm saying, or that one viral moment or whatever it may be. And then after that, now the algorithm is putting you in everybody's faces or whatever, right? They just keep sharing that content to keep the algorithm there. So, and especially newer people, green people, like if let's just say for greener people that's just not starting, like you just had your first match this month. Let's just say you had 10 matches in the two months, right? You should just have a every match. Don't post it all at once, right? Because now you done pretty much overload the algorithm. Like watch your matches, find the best things in those matches, make a clip about it, post it one day, repost it the next day, the next day, next day, till you feel like you're not getting more. Then post the next, right? Because now since you're not wrestling as much, you got to make your content. You got to stretch your content out or whatever until you start getting those reps, and then you can still have to post consistently. But as far as getting promoted attention, like who's this person? Like you ain't gotta do that so much. Now it's really just about posting continuous content, which is just to stay in the face of the algorithm and stay in people's faces or whatever. But yeah, that's the best I can tell you. Get promo pics, promo pics. If you don't know how to make highlight videos, just pay somebody $25, $30, get you a highlight video or whatever to clip it for you. Decent gear, decent gear. Um, and that doesn't mean it has to be, $500-$600 gear, right? You see people who's doing the whole, jeans and boots look, right? And they're making it look good, right? Just make sure it fits your character, you know what I'm saying? But make sure it just looks good, right? And it continuously post every day. Maybe it's 2, 3 times a day. That's going to show promoters that you going to promote their events, and then that's going to keep you in the face of the algorithm.
That's it. It's all about consistency, and I love what you said there about the taking your match and cutting the bites out of it and then making a bunch of posts from that because my home federation, UWE, that's what we like to do is, because, in Louisiana, it can be hard to run every month until you find that good stable venue that's willing to have you every month and the commissioner and all that. You can afford to pay the deposits and all. And until you get to that every month or every other month, we'd run maybe 4 times a year, and guys would be coming to the boss and stuff saying, "Where's my match? Where's my match? Where's my match?" And we're like, "Look, just wait. We did 6 matches. If we do one a week, that's 6 weeks worth of content instead. Or would you
Mm-hmm.
rather us just post it all the next weekend and then be dead for months?
Yeah.
So yeah. And plus, that's great incentive for the fans to get up and go to the show because
Yep.
as a paying fan, if why would I break my neck trying to get out there if I know it's all going to be up by Sunday anyway? So
Yep. Exactly.
for the fans, it's like, well, if you wanted to see it, probably should have came, huh?
Yep.
We're not charging the WWE ticket price. Most indie shows are $15 to $20 to get in. It's a lot cheaper than a WWE show. So get out and support. I mean that's kind of that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of the big incentive there. Get out and support.
Yep.
So yeah, solid social media savvy right there. All you workers, not just wrestlers, but all you people that are content creators. That's good stuff right there. Be sure you soak that in. Exodus, you have a pretty prolific career in the state of Texas and other places as well. Tell us, man. Tell everybody that may not have seen much of you. Kind of what's the bread and butter of your wrestling style? What are the things you like to go to, and where are some of the better places you've worked and some of the titles you've held?
Where my wrestling style is more like a jack of all trades, man. Like my all time favorite wrestler is Randy Orton, so um, I try to mold a lot of my movements in a way that I flow in the ring like him. But I love AJ Styles, man, John Cena, Jeff Hardy, uh, Osprey, Kenny Omega. So if you watch me, you'll see a little bit of all of them in the way that I wrestle. Um, as far as promotions, man, that I've worked in Texas, some of the I guess you could say bigger ones, man. It's been I work for VIP consistently, and that's also like the mother promotion of my training, or where I was trained, my home promotion. Um, I work MPX a lot. That's one of the most consistently running shows in Texas of the last 15 years. They've run consistently every week for the last 15 years. So it's a lot of love for MPX there. I've also worked for New Texas Pro Wrestling a lot. Love them. They based out of Houston. In Pasadena, you'll see. That's where Roxy came from, or what's her name in WWE? Is it Roxanne Perez?
Yeah,
Is that her
yeah,
name?
Roxanne.
Yeah, yeah, Roxanne from there. Brian Keith was real heavy in New Texas. A couple other people too that signed right in there that was in Texas that was in New Texas. But New Texas is awesome. Inspire Pro in Austin is amazing. One of my favorite places to work. Um, thinking. Got a lot of love for Texoma. They run in Sherman and parts of Oklahoma. Um, let me think. I'm thinking. Um, PWF based out of
Oh
Houston,
yeah,
Premier Wrestling
love
Federation.
that one. Love that one. I've been
Yeah,
there.
PWF based out of who else, man? You got it's a very good promotion because they do one for the name because they real focus on old school and they more they super crowd interaction based. But King of Sports Pro Wrestling, they're relatively new. But they got a good vision, right? I love working there simply because of their how they present the wrestlers and how they present the product, right? Um, Man, this video, you got reality of wrestling by Booker T. I finally made my debut there last week
Oh,
against
congratulations
Ryan
on that.
Davidson.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you. But yeah, man, like that's I've worked up and down Texas, even in West Texas. You got stuff like got the pros like OSW and Rampage Wrestling, things like that. And all these promotions, United 2.0, Hurricane Pro Wrestling, like all these promotions. This is from North Texas down to South Texas, all the way down, all the way to West Texas, East Texas, Central Texas. Yeah, man. Like, what was the other question? What was the other part of the question? I know it was experience when I worked and
Tell us about the gold,
well,
man. Tell us about your belts.
all to go, man. I've held about last year. Well, this year, last year I won a lot of championships, and this year I lost a lot of championships. Or whatever. I lost them all this year for the most part. But last year I won 7 championships. Um, oh yeah, I forgot about HOT wrestling, Heart of Texas wrestling. That's Waco, that's Central Texas. I was the network champion there. I've been DFW All Pro champion, Sturdy Silver champion. Um, was I tag team champion? No, I haven't been tag team champion. NPX, I've been there. I've been NPX champion. They're Addicts champion. I've been a tag team champion. I've won the Texoma. Um, what was it called? What was it called? They changed it. I think it was the Texoma. I can't remember the name of it. It was their secondary title,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mid card.
I can't remember what it was called at this point. I'm sorry about that. But like I said, I've been the grappling champion for King of Sports. I was been the WAW World Champion. Um, I've been APW Tag Team Champion. I know it's a few more. I just can't think of them right now, man. I'm
Folks, I used
I'm
to.
like 600 plus matches in, man. So I kind
Yeah.
of forget I forget my matches a lot, man. So
Folks, I've seen this cat on social media at your gear table or your gear table, your merchandise table. You'd lay them out for the eye candy, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy needs a whole nother suitcase just to bring the belts with him everywhere. I mean,
oh yeah, man. Like at one point, man, my suitcase was like I had another bag that I used to carry, but that bag was like 50, 60 pounds, man. Because they don't be skipping on these bills. Like these bills be heavy, and I'm carrying this bag. I'm like, man, I'm gonna stop taking. I'm gonna stop taking these titles anymore, man. I got to the point. I just leave them at home, and because you get to promotion and they don't, you know, if you're losing, then they don't. Then of course you don't want to bring up represent the promotion while you're losing, right? And then oftentimes other promotions don't want another title on their promotion anyway. So it's like, what's the point of bringing this? I'm just gonna keep this at the crib until I
yeah.
need it, type stuff.
I always like bringing an outside belt to a show just because it kind of it draws the kiddos into the merchandise table. They see a
Yeah,
championship belt and they're like, hey, can I take a picture with that? And I'm like, yeah, sure.
yeah,
And it kind of it's eye
and
candy, but
that's great marketing. That's great marketing too. But like I said, you know, some some promoters are cooler about it than others, right? Some really get offended by it, right? So it's situational, right? It's no one size fit all. It's situational, but no, I just usually, unless it's cool with them, and unless I know I'm going over, I usually just leave it at the house because it just makes my bag heavier, and
yeah.
you know, or I have to add an extra bag. Now I only have one title, anyway, and I haven't even that show haven't ran since December last year,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
so
That's an
I
easy
won the
way to
title
get
and
your
haven't had
stats
a
up
chance to
there.
defend it.
That's an easy way to have some big stats. Be like, yeah, I've been the champion for 344 days, had one match. What's up, baby?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it is what it is. Sometimes people they can't run. You know what I'm saying? Things happen or whatever. But I'm still that champion. Like whenever they ready to start back running, I'm gonna defend it, right? But yeah,
how did
it's
you
wrestling, man.
how did you come to come up with the moniker of the final boss? Now, folks, keep in mind he was doing this before The Rock, so don't say he's a rock mark
You
here.
know what I'm
He was,
saying, bro? Because funnily enough, after that segment that I was featuring with The Rock, or when that was in Dallas or whatever, I wish I could find. I'm about to find that clip. It was like I just did some security for The Rock, so I was walking behind him, and people was pointing it out because I didn't notice it. But once we started walking, I was like walking like this, and people was like, "Oh, why you trying to walk out big?" But it was funny after that clip. That's when he started. Not after that clip, but after that segment, after that show, then like the next week he started calling himself the final boss, right? You know what I'm saying? Coincidence, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But the way I came up with it is I'm just a big video game fan, man. Like I love video games, man. And so when it's time to start talking about monikers and stuff, then what's the one of the coolest video game monikers you can have is the final boss, right? You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing cooler. No, there's no other video game. It don't matter what you put, what video game name you put together. Nothing's gonna be cooler than the final boss, right?
you're
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So that's why I chose, man. You know what I'm saying? So it was just because I love games, especially like turn-based RPGs. Like I grew up Final Fantasy fan, man, and playing games like Chrono Trigger and Legends of the Dragoon and the Xeno Saga games and things like that growing up, man. So I was a big turn-based RPG games, and I always look forward to getting to like either the boss battles or the final boss. So
Well, and it's so cool how that went with your reputation because 6.5 years you just gave us a big list of titles and places you've worked. You in a way especially for somebody that's trying to prove themselves in the Texas scene, you kind of are a final boss because you've got the street cred to back it up. You've got the titles, you've got the rivalries there. So yeah, folks, it's always cool. One, you think of a cool name, but two, it's got to make sense, and it
Yeah,
definitely makes sense with you, man.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that, man. I say, man, and like I said, it's been an honor, man, because when I first thought about training, like, man, my goal was just to have a match, right? Like, I never, like, and then even about a couple months into training, when they was like, all right, it's time to do these top rope bumps, I thought that was gonna make me quit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, all right, man, I ain't gonna make it past these top rope bumps. All right, this is what I've been dreading. But then I did the first bump. I was like, oh, this ain't bad at all. You know what I'm saying? But then I say then the goals just start getting better and better. Like I never expected to be even decent in wrestling, right? And I definitely didn't expect to get decent as fast as I did or whatever. So um, because growing up trying to figure out how wrestling worked, I was like, man. And even when I started training, man, I was still like, I still don't get it, man. Then one day it just clicked or whatever. And like I said, I'm not saying that I, you know, I know it all when it comes to wrestling, but um, the basics of what that you can feel the foundation just click, right? Super early. And then after that, it was just about listening to the right people and building on that. But but even to make the PWI, right? You know what I'm saying, this year, something that I never really, making the best in the world type list that they make, never expected to ever come close to any of these lists because I've always looked at it as just I want to try wrestling and just have um a platform to let my creativity come alive or whatever. And so like getting the extra talent or even getting the matches on Ring of Honor, AEW, and all this type of stuff. Even doing the extra talent with WWE, meeting all my heroes that I had growing up. You know what I'm saying? The people that I only ever saw on the TV or on the video games, and like, man, these are real people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So all this stuff is to me is just like way exponentially greater than anything I ever thought I would achieve in wrestling. So I'm always humble and grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? Like if my career ended today, believe it or not, I'm very satisfied and happy with my career.
Man, I'm kind of with you. I was one of those guys. I was like, man, if I can just do a couple local indie shows and then tell my family when I'm old and stuff. Yeah, I've been in there, and then once you start going, that itch gets worse, and you're like, all right, well, let's see where else we can go. Let's see where else we can go. Let's see where else we can go.
Mm-hmm.
And but at the end of the day, it's the win is that you got in. The win is that you're in the business. But I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even know you were in PWI. What list did they put you in?
It was the main list, the PWI 500.
Oh wow, yeah, look at that,
I was
everybody. We got it.
427.
Number 27.
No, 427.
Okay. that's a big gap there. I was about to
Yeah,
say,
that's
wait a minute,
big. Yeah,
you're,
not
you're
as 427.
top 50. Okay. Well, no.
Nah, it wasn't that. But
Well,
nah, like I say, man, like even then, because that was like, well, I remember getting a crew message that was like, yeah, the PWI is going to come out. You want to be on it, you might want to apply. And like, don't get me wrong, like I'm indifferent about lists, right? Like it's cool to make them, and it does feel great to make them, but I don't go out my way to stand and be like, you know what, I gotta make it on this list, right? You know what I'm saying? So for me, so when I looked at the list, I was like, man, I'm not gonna apply for that, and I just kind of like discarded the message. And then I wake up, whatever when they start posting those with congratulations to me, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? They're like, oh, you make the PWI. I'm like, I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, hell yeah. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, I didn't even apply for it. Like, that's real cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was real cool. It was real cool experience, man. Like, just to get the recognition for that, man. Just to even be able, even though all lists are, it's subjective, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just somebody's opinion, right? But it's still cool because PWI is like the Sports Illustrated of wrestling magazine, right? So that's feel good to, be recognized, especially that I wasn't like applying to be recognized. I was just recognized. So that's awesome.
That is awesome, and it does say a lot that you make that list in this day and age because my trainer, Dapper Dan, he was in the PWI Power 500 in the early '90s, and that made him really keep going. He was like, "Oh, can't stop now. Let's keep getting it." And he told me, he said, man, they still only pick 500, and there is, I think, 4 times as many active wrestlers in the country, in just this country alone, than there were back then.
Yeah.
There is so many more wrestlers out there doing stuff than it was back then, and not taking away from those guys back in those days, but it's just there's a bigger pond to fish out of now, and the fact that you still got on there is really awesome. And now you're going to be in our magazine too. So look at that, 2 magazines for you.
I appreciate that, man.
So we're not quite PWI yet, but like I always say, I think Southern Wrestling HTN is special because we cater mostly to the indie circuit. We try to put that spotlight on the indies of guys that need spotlighting. We all work hard, and it deserves to be seen. So, and I got to thank James Beard for putting that together. Have you ever gotten to meet him yet?
I love James Beard, man. Yeah, I've met James Beard several times. I love James Beard, man.
Well, Uncle
I know you
JB.
put that together. That's awesome.
He's actually our booker and locker room agent at UWE, and I've always thought, like, man, how lucky are we to have this guy at every show. I used to always, I'd get done with my match, and I'd get to the back, and of course the boys are like, "Hey, great job," and I'm like, "Hold on, I can't celebrate yet. I got to go talk to James. James, how was it?
Yeah.
Good match. Okay, now I can celebrate. Okay,
Yeah.
Because he'd sit there and he kind of rub his chin like this if he's doing this, and he's like, it was good. You're like, oh God, he hates it. Or if he's like, hey. He just gives you the thumb. You're like, oh, we're in there.
Yeah.
So, man, that's awesome. Anybody that gets the chance to be around that guy, you're going to learn a lot in just a little bit of time. Just getting some stories and stuff from him. It was really cool seeing him in the Iron Claw movie because he used to referee for us. Like I say, he still does the agent work, but he would referee some title matches for us, and then seeing him on the big screen, I'm like, oh, this is weird. I feel like I'm watching.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching us right now because he's wearing the same outfit. But man, that's incredible. Well, hey man, look, thank you for joining us today. And before we leave, tell everybody how they can find you online, and tell us some stuff that you got coming up in 2025.
Oh yeah. So on Instagram you can find me at the_math_exodus. Or just search Exodus Prime. Same for Facebook. Man, I'm old, man, so I'm trying to limit my social media. So I ain't got no threads, I ain't got no Twitter or X. Well, actually, X deleted my stuff because deactivated it too long. But I ain't got none of that stuff, man. I ain't got no TikTok, none of that stuff, man, because it's just too much to keep up with. But I am on Facebook and Instagram, on the Exodus Prime. And next year, man, I got a lot of stuff coming up. Like actually, I'm gonna be in Louisiana a lot next year for BIW, and then I'm down by the Bayou tournament. So I'm gonna be out there. For this month, man, even this month I got Inspired this Sunday. I have Reality Wrestling on the 29th. I have a couple of FPX bookings this month, and then next year, I'll be debuting in Diamond State Wrestling, a few other places, man. Like my mind is just jumping up right now, but you know what I'm saying? Like my first quarter is pretty much booked up. So for the most part of my availability, so still gonna be busy next year, and there's actually a lot of changes I'm making. You know what I'm saying? Starting next year, so be on the lookout for that.
Man, look, well, good luck to all that. Staying busy. I like to hear it. And, you're going to be down in one of the necks of the woods where I work a lot, and that's Louisiana. So hopefully, sooner than later, me and you cross paths in the ring somewhere, in some ring.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Yeah,
we will.
That's it. Well, folks, hey, thank y'all for watching another great episode. And remember, Southern Wrestling HTN, the magazine, available now on Amazon.